Yeah, I mean, so to me, wokeness, and this isn't original to me. I think it's Wokal Distance, the anonymous pundit that coined this phrase in one of his articles. But wokeness is basically Gnosticism, and if you're familiar with like the mystical Christianity and Judaism, the Gnostic is someone who believes that the entire world, as it appears, like most competitions, are reasonably fair. There are organized structures in life that indicate either evolution or a designer, blah, blah, blah. All of that is this terrible trap that's set up to determine the very few people who can see the reality underlying it. The idea that the devil is the prince of this world comes from this. You're supposed to do something very different from what logically appears to be the goal of life, the vows of chastity and that kind of thing, but also the structure of the world around you is this terrible lie that could mislead you away from happiness, that could send you to hell. That's religious Gnosticism. The Wokel's idea that woke is Gnosticism is basically woke people almost to a man believe that the facially fair structure of society, i.e., you have to take the SAT test to get into college, is in fact designed to oppress some out of favor group by some in favor group, i.e., the real purpose of the SAT is to get more whites in college. That's the Gnostic idea. Like every structure, criminal justice, that's one of the obvious ones, but elite academic admissions, Fortune 500 hiring, everything is designed by the oppressor to control and regulate the oppressed. So if you ever read like Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, what'd you think of the book?
I mean, I feel like it was very close to the documentary The 13th, where it's like when you're reading it without any kind of counter narrative, it's extremely convincing, very heart wrenching, and then you start to hear like read someone like you and like, oh, I'd never heard that side of the story.
Yeah, there are more minority men in prison because we commit more crime. And like, I'm not racist in any direction. I mean, I would assume that something like 95% of trans males cutting off their penises would be white. I'm not no hate for the Caucasian community, but I mean, I would assume a huge percentage of drug overdoses, vehicular homicides, all that sort of thing would involve Caucasians. But I mean, when you look at street crime, that's a pathology in lower income Black and Hispanic neighborhoods right now. So that's it. Like if you adjust for that in the model, which is called not being univariate, being multivariate, you see that the relationship that Dr. Alexander talks about goes away entirely. So this is the whole thing with all of Black Lives Matter and so on, by the way. Like the BLM argument is, well, 250 Black men are killed each year by the police. That's a lot by global standards. I'm steel manning their argument here. The response, though, is, well, 1,000 people every year. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So well, it's like reconnect spinning wheels. But okay. The response is, well, okay, but 1,000 people every year are killed by the police, and the rest are all lower income whites, natives, and Hispanics. Like, what do you say to that? And the next point for the Black Lives Matter activist will be, well, but 25 is more than 13% of 1,000. We only make up 13% of the country. So even though you pushed me back one level, I found racism on the second level. But the response there is just, okay, but the crime rate for young Black men is 5 times the crime rate for everyone else. Did you adjust for that? And when I did, there's maybe a 1 or 2% gap that's plausibly attributable to racism. No one denies that like racism has existed, but that's it. That's the entire huge story that you guys have made up is not real. But the thing with Gnosticism, though, the Gnostic argues that a system like criminal justice looks fair, but in fact is designed to imprison Blacks or something like that. The woke right, and I'll actually do one more point here. Every major form of kind of liberal theology is just this idea. So a radical feminist, a 4B feminist, would say society is structured by men to oppress women. Women are the oppressed class. And that's how you get some of these ideas like marriage is a dynamic designed by men to achieve the ultimate male sexual fantasy and to obtain as much sex as possible. And if you actually look at how men view marriage, that's almost totally nonsensical. Like guys view it as sort of a sacrifice you make for your true love. You're probably going to have less sex. You're going to have 2.5 kids, buy a house. But the feminist view is that's an illusion. The reality is the oppression of women. And similarly, I mean, Black radicals view society as structured to benefit whites and oppress Blacks. Gay radicals, LGBT activists view society as structured to benefit good-looking straight people and oppress them, and so on through every other category. The woke right is just a right-wing variation on this, where the group that is supposedly running society from behind the scenes becomes what? Well, usually the Jews, maybe the feminists themselves, the rich, which is at least plausible. But it's the woke idea of the Gnostic system that's really evil, where there are Morlocks hiding under the earth. It's just the groups have been switched in and out.